Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight, it's that of race number 10 for the No Legacy Texas 150. It's here tonight, and the bounty's out. Money on the line. If you're the points leader, that of Ethan Smith, if he gets into victory lane, he gets $15. Anyone else, if they beat out the points leader, they'll find themselves at $30, so we'll see how that's going to change up the race as we are here at Texas, a historic racetrack when you think of the history of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, and we're excited to be back after missing out last season. We're right back here, and we're proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall, with that of Robert Moyer running the productions in the background. Zach, Texas, a track that, like I said, a lot of history and some wild moments we've seen before.
Yeah, some great memories back in the day here at season 1 for Texas for sure. Here is we had the one season off there from here last season, didn't come back to Texas, but now going to be roaring back here in style this time, and only 4 races to go, including tonight before those playoffs kick off. So those drivers sitting around that cut line, around the 16th place position in points, are going to really have to be looking to put a charge here forward to push themselves farther up there so they don't feel too much concern heading into those final few races.
We've only got, counting tonight, 4 more races to go. It's going to be here at Texas, Watkins Glen next week, with that of Charlotte Oval in 2 weeks. And then finishing out the regular season, it's the Nashville Super Speedway Concrete Course. So a lot of consistent runs here tonight. Really going to be a game changer, though. Of all the tracks that we're going to, I would say next week at the Glen and here tonight, Zach, at Texas, these are probably going to be the 2 most difficult tracks of this last push.
I would completely agree with you there, Sam. It's really going to be the tougher portion of the remaining races here, and how these drivers go through these next few weeks is going to be very, very interesting, no doubt indeed. And you started off well here tonight at Texas. It could very well set you up for some momentum heading into those final 3 races there at Watkins Glen, Charlotte, and the Nashville Super Speedway. So I'm pumped here tonight because we know how Texas has been here in the past. Hopefully they can put on a show like that for us here once again as they go ahead into qualifying. And I think qualifying going to be super important here because we've heard about these drivers talking about how treacherous these trucks are on cold tires. So if you can get yourself out front, you'll be in a better position to possibly make any kind of carnage that happens on these opening laps.
What's been interesting hearing from the drivers is they want to be up front, but they actually don't want to be the leader. They all feel like leading those first couple of corners on these cold tires might be the most dangerous spot on all this track because of how loose that rear end gets. And that's going to be interesting to see how the drivers are going to translate that speed from qualifying to here as we take a look at what the weather conditions look like on your top of your screen. The drivers for qualifying, it's going to be nighttime. You're seeing the sun setting, but it's going to be a cool 69 degrees for that of the ambient temperature. 71 degrees though here, Zach, for the track temp, with it being a little breezy with 10 miles per hour southeast, and that's dropping high low. You're going to be fluctuating here during qualifying.
Yeah, I think these conditions right here that we see, they're only going to lead to those colder tire conditions being a little bit worse. So the cooler track going to tend to keep those tires a little bit cooler for a little bit longer. The tire wear isn't probably going to be as drastic either with, like we see with some of those hotter temperatures, but these guys are going to have a nice cool track, and I expect it to continue to cool down here as the night goes on, as the lights continue to click on here.
As talk about this being the last push, one of the drivers that's in line that really needs a strong run here, gonna be this 8 machine of Noah Steele. Noah Steele, it's been interesting to watch the career for this driver throughout this season, Zach. Still has no top 10s, no top 5s, but finds himself 19th in points and within striking distance still. Those drivers that are 17th, 18th, 19th, as well as 20th in points, just out of 9 points in total away from the cutoff line where Christopher Norris finds himself.
Yeah, and if you're Christopher Norris too, I mean, he's got the win there at Atlanta, but I mean, if he falls outside the top 20, that win's not going to hold him into the top 16. So he looks to someone like Noah still here in the 19th position in points. Jonathan Smith, those drivers, like you said, Sam, they're all just so stacked up here in points. Anything could happen in these final 4 races. So we'll see who's able to position themselves well, but Noah Steele, definitely a driver looking to, I think, break that curse of, 0 top 5s and 0 top 10s, because this season, looking back a few times, he could have had both of those stat columns filled.
Absolutely could have, as see that on our ticker board It is filling up with drivers, and after their second lap, Ethan Smith going to be topping the board with a 30.024, and with Noah Steele just coming up second for himself. Still a lot of fast drivers to watch out for. Anthony Gaudio about to be starting up his qualifying time as Tyler Dangler on his last lap, the 19, hoping to put down a decent lap here. Went with the slower end on that first lap, trying to save some grip. Here he comes, ripping it on the bottom.
Yeah, ripping it on the bottom here in 3 and 4. Definitely the corner that is going to be really treacherous too, especially on cold tires. But as the run goes on, that corner going to be very close to almost being wide open for majority of these runs. So we'll see how they can make that happen. As 1 and 2, the super wide lower bank corner is going to give you a little bit more opportunity to try to make passes there, as it's the slower portion of the speedway. Is now we check out this 3, Anthony Gaudio. He's going to go out there and try to put down a quick time. Very quick last season at a 1.5 miles. We'll see if he can carry that here into season 3.
Anthony Gaudio, who went on a huge surge at the end of last season. Gotta say, for this 3 machine, I'm curious on how he's going to translate that. Again, he made it into the playoffs, missed out on being able to actually run in the playoffs last season, but this 3 looked very strong and was looking like a contender. Currently, right now, he's 17th in points, 1 point away from Christopher Norris, but finding himself a total of 14 points off of where Brandon Colley is. Gotta find some extra speed and cross the line for that of Anthony Gaudio. He'll move up to 10th place on the board.
He'll like that there. That'll be a good looking position so far with him 10th on the board. And yeah, I got to find a little bit more speed for him. And, you alluded to it. The end of the regular season last season was amazing for him. He really closed it out well. Didn't get to perform in the playoffs there and make those races. Had to miss it. So he'll be looking to make the playoffs here and, change what happened last season where he was rolling into that as, really the hottest driver in the series. So a lot of people were expecting him to do big things. This season, it's been kind of similar to last season. It took up till really the end of the regular season before he got going. So we'll see if he can continue that trend here this season.
Here tonight, we have a lot of penalties coming over from Dover, a lot of pit road violations of going through too many boxes. And so we've got a handful of drivers that are actually going to be missing out on even an attempt to qualify. Kerry Tribune, Jonathan Smith of Gregory Shaw, GT Irizarry, Cedric Hunter, Ollie Fonseca, and Isaac Shelley. All are going to have to start on that of the tail end of the field, not able to qualify. And talking about qualifying, it is closing in as find ourselves with the timer over. It's time for us to get ourselves gridded up here as your qualifying results sponsor going to be the Laugh Lap. If you're looking for some great quality laughs on Instagram, go to @the_laugh_lap to go find yourself some great laughing and hilarious racing content for your enjoyment. Again, they are on Instagram, @the_laugh_lap. Thank you for being our qualifying results, as it is going to be that of the 00 of Ethan Smith topping the board. He comes in as our points leader, and Zach, he's the driver that everyone's hunting for here tonight. Then going to be in second place, it's Noah Steele. Third, going to be Kyle Rochelle. Nolan Hicks going to be in fourth. Danny Cochran fifth. That of Logan Brakey in sixth place with Trenton Jump seventh. Brandon Colley going to be eighth. Last time we were here 2 seasons ago, Mark Whitley, the winner of this race, going to be in ninth place with that of Anthony Gaudio, finishing out your top 10 for qualifying.
Tom Bourne is going to start in the 11th position. Alongside him, it's going to be Ryan Ferraro in 12th. 13th is going to be Nick Crawford in the Ford machine. 14th is going to go to John Forbes. 15th is going to be Tyler Dingler. Dakota Moniz is going to start in the 16th position with Carl Pooler there in 17th. 18th is going to go to Joshua Freed. 19th is going to be the 25 of Cody Reed. And rounding out the top 20, it's Christopher Norris.
Then going to be that in 21st position, Gregory Smith with Cedric Hunter going to be in 22nd, GT Rosario in 23rd, Trevor Earhart 24th, Ollie Fonseca 25th, Mark Morales Jr. going to be in 26th position, 27th is going to be Isaac Shelley, Eric Stamp 28th, Kerry Tribune 29th, that of Jonathan Smith going to be 30th, with Robert Hattenback going to be back in 31st position. Zach, this is one of those races where, yes, there's a lot of penalties. That's the main reason why we have so many drivers not qualifying. But that is a long list of drivers that are going to be having to struggle to go through this field in the traffic.
Yeah, that's going to be a big topic of discussion, I think, for majority of the night. Texas is not the easiest place to pass. So, we talked a lot about the cold tires. They're very, very tough, and these drivers are going to be very much on the very ragged edge here to start this race with the rear end of these trucks being very unstable. So if you're starting farther back there, You're just going to be probably looking to survive here at the beginning. But if we do get a green flag run, passing will be tough here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
As drivers are taking off from the grid and about to get themselves stacked up and ready to go, gives us time to thank one of our sponsors for that of the ISRC, the Incredible Sim Racing Championship Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. That is Race Car Graveyard. Race Car Graveyard is a great place to start if you want to becoming a diecast collector. They've got anything from 124th to 164th NASCAR diecast ratios, as well as they've got new, used, and as well you can get yourself some custom diecast. Go head over to Race Car Graveyard on Instagram and use their promo code RCGY for 10% off on your next purchase. All right, Zach, we've seen this track in the past. We've got the calls at the end. 5 wide on the last lap for 5th place, 3 wide when they came across the line. What are you expecting here as we're about to go rolling?
Well, if we can get half of that, we'll be excited. So I expect a lot of interesting moments here early in the going with how loose these trucks are. So let's watch for that, how these drivers make it through. But a smart group here, I expect them to be able to make it through and survive.
Tonight's race, it is race number 10 of the season. Counting tonight, 4 more races in the regular season to find out who will make the playoffs. 8 different winners so far this season. Will we see our 9th, or will we see another person getting another win and adding to their collection? Time to find out. The Not Legacy Texas 150 is green as Ethan Smith already ahead. It's going to be that of Steele as well as Kyle Rochelle side by side through 1 and 2.
Great start for that pole setter, Ethan Smith, and right there, Kyle Rochelle looking to move himself up the second quickly there as they come down the back straightaway as Noah Steele in the 8 is going to try to hold the 3rd spot, and luckily for himself, is going to be able to clear, but here, watching down in the 3, let's watch out for these rear ends.
And this is where the drivers have been talking about through 3 and 4, the danger zone of that rear end just wants to kick out, but also the exit of the corner. That outside wall just sneaks up on you, but it's going to be Ethan Smith leading lap number 1 and grabbing that bonus point for himself. Now Kyle Rochelle going to be on the charge, right on the back bumper of this 00. And Zach, first lap down, can they survive another?
We'll see here as the battle for the lead heats up. Rochelle goes around the outside as all these drivers are stepping on eggshells out here while these tires come up to heat here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And off of 4, the poles that are trying to fight back as through 3 and 4, that bottom lane is going to be strong here early in the going.
And it's going to be across the line, side by side, and it was just back practically equal, but Kyle Rochelle going to lead that lap, give the bonus point to the 21, who continues to wrap that outer lane. Looks quick, he'll keep the lead as the 00 falls back to second, and here comes Steele, the 8 machine, who needs a great run if he wants to make the playoffs, and here he goes, trying to make the pass for second.
Big moments for sure for that 8 machine, like you said there, Sam, but he's got the 31 of Danny Cochran right behind him, looking to possibly make a move, but he also got Mark Whitley, the winner from season 1 here at that Texas Motor Speedway, along with our past champion Aaron Trenton Jump right on the top side with Brandon Colley. So a great group here early, and cold tires, but they're stacking up here, racing hard.
4 laps in, and you're again, tick away. It's all about building up that heat, and right now the driver's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, but still that little sensation to kick in at any moment, that rear end wanting to kick out, but they're going to be still side by side. Smith holds on for second as everyone stacked on top of one another, practically our whole entire top 8 side by side all the way through as Kyle Rochelle feeling fantastic out front for the 21.
Great racing, and we love to see this great side-by-side action, but I tell you what, if one mistake comes from one of these drivers here, there is no room for error. They'll all be collected up in this. So right now, everybody's hoping those tire pressures come up and the heat gets in there quicker so they can race a little bit harder, but they're showing here early, every position matters.
It was just that of our top 7 at one moment that we're keeping close to one another. Well, make it our top 11 all in this lead pack, not really giving an inch. But the Pied Pipers, the 21, still blocking and defending both lanes when he's coming out of the corner. Now, disappointment, though, for last week's winner, Ollie Fonseca. Looks like it's going to be a start park for the 24, which I was talking to him before. There was hints that he was thinking about just doing a start park. He got his win, and he can take a rest for at least this week.
Hey, he got that win, like you said, so that will allow him to get that ability, and he'll definitely have a great time here to rest and build himself up for the playoffs. But right here, this racing's been very fantastic. Man, Cochran made the big move, then Whitley got to his inside, and now Brandon Colley trying to make something happen as Trenton Jump got passed by all 3 of them.
Trenton jump. Again, a lot of these drivers, kind of surprising to see those that are in this top pack still searching for their first win this season, as we're watching those friends of Logan Brakey, Tom Bourne battling for 8th and 9th place, seeing how well they're going to work with one another. Alliances on how they want to work through this, as Color Teal Graphics kind of adopted Tom into the team throughout the beginning portions of last season and into this season with the 16, looking for a more of a consistent run. He's had some good finishes, but a driver that is extremely outside looking in. Same for Logan Brakey. These are two drivers that need a win and some great points days if they're going to make the playoffs.
That they really do, and big move there for Tom Bourne as he gets that pass done there on Logan Brakey and does move himself up ahead of him. So great job there by Tom. But yeah, Tom Bourne has shown the speed, just needs to bring the finishes with that speed, and he'll be able to move himself up that leaderboard and up those point standings. It's just not been his season though, and it has not went his way for him, no doubt. But back behind him, looks like John Forbes in the 11. I believe he's battling there with the 12 of Ryan Ferraro right now. They're about the 12th and 13th position as Forbes is trying to make his way through the field. As a few guys are starting to drop back here too, so maybe some tire saving, but also maybe a few guys playing it a little bit safer on the quarter tires.
This is something I was talking with the drivers during practice hey, there's a lot of scares, and everyone's talking about, hey, they're the big one that could strike as easy as lap 1, as you see Ryan Ferraro have to back out of that corner and let John Forbes go. But this has happened for the past couple of weeks of, hey, there's a track that's coming up. There's a lot of fear of the big one striking at any moment. The drivers really back off. They be a lot more patient with one another early on. And it just seems like this season, we've seen a lot more of let's get a long green flag run in. And then once we're in those final 25% of the race, that's when we'll turn it on and potentially bring out the big ones.
Yeah, that's just good racecraft from these guys out there where they're not racing their competition necessarily right now, which they are, but they're out there more or less, as the saying will go, racing the racetrack. They're trying to go out there, run their own race, not go out there and try to put themselves in positions that early in the going, are not the best situations to be in. So these guys are learning, and that's great to see out there as this group continues to battle on. And right now you got Trevor Earhart in the 41. He's got GT Irizarry all over the back deck lid of him, looking to take that spot from him.
Trying to run the Z drivers back in that of 20th position. Keeping it up on how they're going to be battling one another is Trevor Earhart. Again, trying to hold off that of GT Irizarry. And Irizarry, one of those drivers that's trying to find a little bit of extra speed potentially here tonight. But really kind of a shocker to see some of these drivers that are deeper back. But again, it's those with the penalties that had to start all the way in the back half of the field. We're not allowed to qualify, and being led by the majority of those drivers is going to be Cody Reed as well as Cedric Hunter that are really making the pressure forward.
Yeah, those guys with the penalties starting to move their way up farther through the field as we check out this 13's progress. Second place driver in points this season, and he lost that points coming in here to tonight, so didn't have last week, sorry, there at Dover, but didn't have the bounty coming on him here this week, so he'll have the chance to try to go get that there and beat Ethan Smith, that 00, who is our points leader. But man, great job by these guys right now that are trying to make up some time, but it's still early to go, and we still have a stage there at lap 70, and I think a lot of guys know that, and just showing here the smarts up front. And looks like Whitley might have had some trouble because he was moving his way up farther, and now Brandon Colley to the outside.
Yeah, I was trying to make the pass for that 4th place position, but just has been trapped side by side. Mark Whitley's trying his best, but a little bit of a shimmy gives an opportunity. Brandon Colley on the outside, and Colley, one of those drivers that made a really gutsy call at the end of stage 1 last week at Dover, missed out on points. But here tonight, Zach, it seems like the 94, all sights are on getting some major points here today.
Yeah, I think major points is going to be a big thing for him circled heading into these final 4 races of the regular season. I mean, comes in here 15th in the playoff standings. But, I mean, still, he would love to be in a better position than that heading into the next couple races. So tonight could be a big buffer for him to build those points up. Right now, battling hard. That's 77 to Mark Whitley, who's, looking for still his first win this season, which I would think we would all be surprised that, 10 races into the season now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a list of drivers that I'm just shocked by. I mean, Trenton Jump, as you see the 46 on screen as well, he's still looking for his first win. The driver that's leading this race right now, Kyle Rochelle's still searching for his first win, as well as John Forbes, who had the most wins last season with 5. A lot of heavy contenders still searching for that first win, but Zach, on top of that, we've had 8 different winners already.
No, we definitely have. I mean, literally Cedric Hunter, the only multi-time winner out there. So, this season has just been super competitive week in and week out. You don't know who's going to be out there to be the driver to beat. As you're seeing some great battling set back here around the 3, Anthony Gaudio and Nolan Hicks. This is for the 8th and 9th spot. They also got Logan Brakey, Danny Cochran in the 31, who's starting to drop back a little bit in that 31. Kind of surprised by that, losing a little speed here early in the go.
Yeah, right now I think the main reason why we're starting to see some movement is because of Anthony Gaudio really starting to lose the grip in the center of 3 and 4, which, Zach, this track, the way that it's built, both sides of the track so different from one another, it just seems like that build-up corner for the 3 really has to let off because of that tightness we were talking about. It was going to hit 8 laps ago. Well, it's hit, and now we're seeing some drivers struggling.
Yeah, you allude to it, Sam. Completely two different sides of the track. You look here at 3 and 4. Much more throttle response here. You have a lot more in throttle time, and that's because of the banking of the corner. Very high bank compared to 1 and 2, and a much more smoother corner also. So it makes the grip level higher there, but it can also be a struggle point for you there if you don't get the most out, where drivers are also able to get a lot of speed out of it. So 1 and 2, though, as you see here, very wide, very flat, and gives you some options here as a driver to try to make up some speed. But two different sides of the racetrack, it's tough as a driver to hit your marks consistently when you're doing two different things on the opposite sides.
Difficult to see how this run's going to go forward, as you're going to see that at the 71, Carl Pooler on the outside being passed for 15th position by that of the 13 Hello Kitty machine. Cedric Hunter, biggest mover on track, up 7 positions for himself. He's still got a good cluster of drivers in front of him like you try to aim for, but let's say for this 13, again, already has 2 wins, second in points. All you have to do is stay in the top 20 of points, and that win will count as a ticket into the playoffs. So right now, Cedric Hunter can kind of relax at this time, as other drivers not really able to, as we move back to that of Christopher Norris, who's in a spot where he needs to get some major points, but being too far back from bonus points at the current moment.
Yeah, just too far back for them bonus points, and for him, the 1 win there at Atlanta still this season, that does have him locked into the playoffs right now, but he's 16th coming in here tonight in those standings. And if he was to follow the top 20, folks, like we alluded to earlier, he would not make the playoffs. You have to be in the top 20 for that win to count and push you in. So Christopher Norris going to still have a lot to fight for in these final 4 races. Most people would think you get that win and you feel safe. He cannot have that feeling right now.
No, and it really doesn't help when you're looking at the point standings on who's running well here tonight so far, and the way that Norris is running currently at this moment, because the drivers that he's got to be concerned about is Tom Bourne. Tom Bourne, 8th in points. He came in tonight 25 points off of where Christopher Norris is, and Bourne was that of 21st and 22nd, in points. So there is a lot of wiggle room where this 38 in these next couple of weeks, if he does not have some strong performances, even with this win, he could get bumped out.
Yeah, it could be a very interesting storyline to follow here into the next 4 weeks, but it'll be one we all get to watch here live on Freaky Fast. So a great time here watching this. Oof, off the corner, Norris going to be in the middle. 3 wide. Reed now going to the dodges. Irizarry had to go low there to dodge Norris's. Man, that got very wild off of 2.
And you can see the slight damage and scrape marks on that 38 on the right side of that machine. And now Christopher Norris getting any type of aero damage here could be very hurtful, because more damage you get, the more tighter it possibly can be. That 38 machine cannot afford, especially being 24 laps into this run, to get tighter.
No, he definitely cannot, Sam. And you can see right here, just washing up the racetrack. That's allowing everybody here. GT Irizarry, Dakota Moniz now all to look to go to his inside. And he's also going to have Trevor Earhart and now Kerry Trabue. So just like that, in a few moments, you're going to lose about 6 to 7 spots here for this 38 machine.
And as that battling was going on, and we got to see it on screen, Mark Whitley has now moved up to 2nd place. The driver that found himself winning this race 2 seasons ago, and a wild 3-wide finish between himself, Vincent Sora, and Danny Cochran. The 77 looks to be on the charge, but the only thing he's got to worry about is, can he pass or catch up to Kyle Rochelle, because Rochelle's been looking very strong so far in that clean air.
Yeah, man, Rochelle coming off a 2nd place finish at Dover last week. And, man, just showing that momentum has propelled him here to Texas. As that last time by, Whitley was about a couple hundredths quicker, but a couple hundredths when you get to him will not be enough to get around them. So Whitley going to have to find a little bit more pace than that to close it all the way down and get past him. But Rochelle looking to possibly lock himself in the best way is by getting a win and give himself a better position starting those playoffs.
Looking great so far as the laps continue to tick away. 27 laps now has started of our 150. Now, of note, we do have a stage break at lap 70. At the end of lap 70, top 10 drivers will get bonus points, with the winner getting 10 bonus points and dropping down 1 point down each position until you get down to 10th place, where they only get 1 bonus point. But the way that these point standings are looking like, that 1 point could be your make or break getting into the next round, as we're watching the battling around those drivers that are in 6th place. And the driver on the move, that's Nolan Hicks so far. He fell back that of 4 positions from where he qualified, but Zach, he's now up to 6th.
Yeah, and I saw this at the beginning of the race, a few drivers dropping back that had qualified farther up, and I was saying maybe they're just taking their time here, worried about the cold tires, and it wasn't really a thing of saving the tires more or less. But yeah, it's showing that maybe dropping back, losing a little speed at the beginning, could very well come back around on the long run here. As Hicks, like you said, he's really been on the move as he's got himself up to now the back bumper of Brandon Colley after Colley's gotten passed by Trenton jumping that 46. So great job by Hicks there. He's going to need himself a good run in the 86.
And Nolan Hicks is 23rd in points, so if he can have a good run here tonight and also be inside of the top 20 points by the end of the night, this 86 could really change up how the playoffs look going forward, because where they were entering tonight, Brandon Colley, who's up in 5th place, he would be the next driver that could be bumped out of the playoffs if Nolan Hicks finds himself in a victory lane.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that too, Sam. And the thing I look at too is you got Hicks there, Tom Bourne, Nolan Still, Anthony Gaudio, and Logan Brakey. I mean, those are all drivers within the 23rd, really to like 17th to 18th position in points here. So really a group of drivers like you alluded to earlier that are having good runs, that needed good runs. So Christopher Norris, he's also got to be a driver worrying about this.
And Norris has fallen all the way back to 24th after getting into the wall and being caught up with earlier issues. As we continue to watch this battle for 5th place, Nolan Hicks closes in, finds a little bit of a groove in the 86 machine. Not close enough to get to the quarter panel, but still hunting, hounding, and trying to search is behind them. It's going to be Anthony Gaudio, Tom Bourne side by side.
Yeah, this battle's been heating up here for sure, as Bourne was battling with Steele. Is now Gaudio going to look to the outside of Bourne down the back straightaway here to look to make the pass. You're going to have Brakey there directly behind him, the 4 of Nick Crawford. So about a 5-truck here group here battling away. Is looks like that outer group having a little bit more shot here in 3 and 4 this time as the tires start to fall off. But Gaudio washed way up the racetrack. That allowed Bourne to hold on to it. But now Brakey going to be looking to get to the outside of Bourne also.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of trust on Anthony Gaudio's part. He kept his foot in the throttle and just hoped and prayed that he wasn't going to clobber that outside wall, and it worked out for the 3 that go around. We'll see if these next couple of goes, if it's going to stay solid. But Zach, we're closing in on halfway from when this stage is going to come out again at the end of lap 70. This could be around the time that we're thinking about pit stops for these drivers.
Yeah, no, this could be that time. It's tough to say when you want to come down. I know, the one thing we kind of talked about before this race even started is how much those cold tires and how treacherous they are and how dangerous they can be. If you go down here and do it undercut, per se, and do an early pit stop, because we're watching this battle Nick Crawford and Bourne and Brakey, if you come down early and do that, you could very well be putting yourself in an interesting position to go out there and wreck, or, nonetheless, someone else might come down with you. They might wreck and you might get trapped and lap down. So it's a risky time here to pit because they know those new tires are the time when drivers are most likely to spin this time.
Right on board with 4 machine, and that's going to be the question of, do you want to come in first or later? How do you want to run this one out? Nick Crawford, that was such a beautiful pass of the young Tom Bourne a lap ago, but say hello to Hello Kitty, because he is now marched up to 11th place and soon to crack into the top 10. Cedric Hunter is on the move and charging through this field currently with his paces. Oh no, a little bit of struggle backing off there, but gotta say, Zach, for that little oopsie-doopsie, this 13 was on the charge.
Yeah, and surprised by what I saw there from his truck. A lot of guys talked about how it was loose on the first, 10 laps of the run when the tires warmed up. He was loose right there coming out of 4 on this longer run, so showing that he has done a good job to keep the balance of the truck turning. And I think it's shown in his lap times. Even though with that mistake there is dropping back in a position with John Forbes here, he was turning the quickest laps on the racetrack. So this 13 later in the race, you may be watching out for him here after that stage break.
is trying to now recover after losing 3 positions after that mistake. But again, this is important shuffling moves because you've got Tom Bourne that needs to get inside of the top 10 in points. You also got Logan Brakey, who's 10th right now. Those are 2 drivers that need some bonus points to just assist them on top of having good finishes here tonight. As we are now halfway through this stage 1, when will the break happen? Oh, will it be under yellow? That's going to be the big question for a lot of these drivers at this time, as shuffling's happening. Our front 2 are pulled away, and they are on their own battle, but the battle for 3rd all the way back to that of practically 13th, 14th position. This whole entire pack and cluster, they've got to be careful.
Yeah, this is a giant group of trucks, like you said. They've all kind of just, kept the same speed on this longer run, so they've kind of grouped up after our front 2 have kind of driven away, but still some great balance to be made as the points are all out to be given still. And the 13th Hunter makes a move. His old man Brakey back there, he hits pit road. That could have been disastrous there. We had a few guys hitting pit road in front of people.
And there was over the radio chatter of I'm coming into pit road, and Logan Brakey said he was coming in. Cedric Hunter did not want to back down, losing any time to the 11 of John Forbes, and got a little bit of damage on the rear end of the 29, as well as slight damage on that of the front left of the 13. So there was communication, and they replied back to one another, but still willing to just keep their ground and keep that foot in. As John Forbes now into pit road, half the field says it's go time at this current moment.
Yeah, that was a risky business maneuver there from the 13 to try to make that happen there, coming down to pit road with Brakey pitting from. So he tried to make the 3-wide move and just caught the 29. So unfortunately for Brakey, or fortunately for Brakey, he holds on to it there as they get the pit road. But right now, with this all cycling here, Trenton jumped the leader as Whitley and all them have hit pit road.
Now it's going to be that a Trenton jump. Nolan Hicks, when will they come to pit road? And that is going to be now for the both of them, as well as going to be seen others as almost contact made coming into pit road. Drivers are trying not to just run each other over. This is a difficult pit road to get into, as also Cedric Hunter comes into pit road this go around, leaving us with that of Brandon Colley leading this lap.
Yeah, Brandon Collier getting himself a bonus point, and that'll be good for his sake because, again, he needs to move himself farther up that list, because if some drivers go out there and win races, he's in a position to where he would get knocked out. So just because he's safe on points doesn't mean he can feel safe, because there's enough time for winners to knock him out. As he comes to pit road this time, that'll transfer the lead to his teammate, Nick Crawford, who will get himself a bonus point.
Nick Crawford going to be leading this charge with Brandon Colley coming into pit road. It's going to be Kerry Tribune, Trevor Earhart going to be following suit with Tyler Dengler, leaving us with just that of 6 drivers left on the lead lap, still needing to come into pit road. But now, Zach, is the real question. Do you stay until you run out of fuel, or now do you come in at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think you're going to see Crawford here possibly look to come down this time. I wasn't sure if he was. It looked like he was, and then he made sure he did come down. So, yeah, going to come down here. Just, I think, was looking to get that 1-lap lead, maybe take a little bit fresher tires here, too, because, that group of drivers we had there were so stacked up on top of each other. You can get a little bit of advantage. Those drivers who pitted earlier before you can possibly run them back down as they battle as, Morales up the racetrack there in the 91 as the group of tires come by, and that was almost close for our leader.
Mar Morales, one of those drivers in the very close proximity to try to crack into the top 16 in points. He needs these bonus points and will stay out, but now is in the danger zone because there's a lot of fast drivers behind him, and he's going to be caught on the high side the majority of the time. This 91, when will he come into pit road, or can he come into pit road, as he's going to have heavy traffic behind him?
Yeah, like you said, can he come to pit road? Because of the timing here, so many trucks going so much faster than him. You're going to have trucks on his inside almost every single corner here, and he's going to have to hit pit road within, I'd say, about 7 laps. These drivers can do about 50 laps on a tank of fuel, so, that's about as far as I could see Martin looking to go, but we'll see when he elects to do it. But right now, looking to continue on.
As drivers that have already hit pit road, that of Mark Whitley and Kyle Rochelle are going to be the front runners of those 2 machines, as they're going to be, once this pit cycle goes all the way through, they will be the front 2. Mark Whitley leading that charge at this current moment, as Mark Morales over the radio saying he's coming into pit road. The next driver is going to be the 99, Robert Hattenback, who's got to make that decision as well. And will he be over the radio, or will he be stuck as everyone goes high? And there goes Morales into pit road.
Yeah, he's able to get himself down there. Now can Hattenback get down there? He luckily will find a slot, but looks like he'll continue on this time. So he'll elect to not pit here and get himself a lap led here this time by. And we'll see when he finally likes to do it. He'll be the last one of our drivers to get into this cycle of pit stops. And once it all cycles through, Whitley will be our leader with Rochelle right on his tip.
Those two just can't get away from one another, as you see the 91. I mean, that of the 99, excuse me. Got to be letting everyone on by. Will it be this time or will it not? As drivers seeing all the decisions. How will fresh tires also equate? Because Trent Jump pitted a lap after our front two. He's only about a second and a half off of what's going to become our leaders. And he's going to be trying to march and close in, but the gap might be a little bit too big. As the 99 of Robert Hattenback stays out for another lap, it's going to be that of Mark Whitley as well as Kyle Rochelle. They've got to make their decision on how aggressive do you want to be, and are these points that important for yourself?
That is the question for sure, Sam. And I mean, Trent jumped behind him, like you said, with a little bit fresher tires. He's been able to do a good job during the sequence to close the gap that was in between that group from back to third. So, great job by Trenton Jump there, and we'll see, do these front two run their tires too hard and allow him to close in, or do these two try to just make it to the end of this stage here at lap 70? That's going to be a lot still to be asked, but man, so far early in this race at Texas, we thought we'd see possibly some incidents with how loose these trucks were, but I think you hit the nail on the head, Sam. When it's like that, that's when the drivers usually seem to back it down just a little bit and keep it in green.
Too scared to try anything too risky, and it's too early to throw it all the way away, especially on the fact that a lot of the drivers that are up front, they all have crucial drives that they need to have of just precise positioning to make sure that you can go for a win or maximize your points that you can grab. That's what we're seeing right now. Our drivers trying to maximize their points so they can find themselves potentially just skeeving their way into the playoffs, because there's some drivers that are inside of our top 16 in points. They're having some pretty rough days. I mean, Dakota Moniz, he's not having the best day. Tyler Dangler's not having their best day. And those are drivers that are 13th, 14th in points that are only that of, 20 to 16 points to the good, as we're heading back into pit road, giving our leaders that of Mark Whitley and Rochelle going to be up front.
Yeah, and when you have a stage and 4 races still to go, and 4 stage in each of those races, 20-something points is not a lot of a gap. You shouldn't feel very comfortable with that if you're Tyler Dingler or Dakota Moniz back there. So Dingler's going to have to really try to get what they can here, be consistent as they possibly can to get the points they need here to get into the playoffs, because it could get very close if we get a few more winners.
Speaking of close, you saw it on screen there. Going to be Brandon Colley and Danny Cochran. Very close contact. Almost there through 3 and 4 as they're battling it out to see who's going to get 10th position here as they're catching to the tail ends of 9th and 8th place runners. Going to be that of Logan Breakey, Noah Steele, and the fresher tires go to the 94. Brandon Colley trying to maximize his tires, and he's running almost a half a second faster than Logan Breakey, and there's the speed. It's the center of the corner off, where the 94 just blasts his way on by. Next driver in line, going to be the 8, Noah Steele.
We alluded to the mistake he made last week, in the 94 machine of not getting those stage points. Just going the traditional route, doing the normal strategy, kind of went out the box, and it did not work. Got himself trapped a lap down. This week, though, Brandon Colley looking to get some stage points, and right now up into that 9th position, and Steele in 4 is directly ahead of him, along with Gaudio. He'll be looking to move himself even farther.
Anthony Gaudio, this is important for him, because if he can get more points than even that of Brandon Colley, that's going to shrink their difference, because they're just that of 13 points off of one another. So any little advantage the 3 can get over the 94 can help his stats, because if Christopher Norris, with his win, somehow still stays in the top 20 by the end of our last race in the regular season, it would be that of Brandon Colley that would be the last driver points-wise that we're looking at.
And, we allude to it all the time. Every point matters. So, I mean, when it comes down to that final, regular season race, it very well could come down to, a stage point here and there. It could be looking back to Dover if Brandon Colley misses it, saying those were the stage points that he needed to get himself in. When we leave Nashville Super Speedway, we're going to have a lot of these questions answered.
A lot of them will be in each week. Going to be changing up who's going to be the biggest threat and who could find themselves into victory lane. As for up front, the battle continues to stay close, hot and heavy, but this could be the time for the lead. Mark Whitley under heavy pressure from Kyle Rochelle. Rochelle's been right on the back bumper of the 77 all night long here, Zach, but he was right, basically bump drafting the 77 on the front stretch, trying to figure out how to place this 21 in the best position to make this pass.
It's been an impressive night for this 21, man, really showing out. And, you know, when he joined this truck series, you know, I figured this is the performances we could see from this 21, and it's just never came to fruition. You know, he's had a few good finishes here and there, but tonight, this is really the first time I think this 21 showed the speed that he can possess. And right now, Kyle Rochelle all over Mark Whitley, our previous winner here at Texas. But, you know, Whitley did have to deal with, you know, riding behind him for a lot of that last run. This time, Rochelle going to have to come from behind here and get past him.
Yeah, I felt like we talked about it a lot last week, and we could talk about it again this week. Just the extreme inconsistencies that drivers have had on having great finishes and then practically finishing last in other weeks that have really made it to where the points are super close to one another. Kyle Rochelle is one of those drivers that has had a very inconsistent season as he's trying to close in the gap. He gets so close, but it just seems like the center off is where he's been struggling through 1 and 2. That's where he's losing a lot of his time, but gains it back. But his three best finishes have been that of Dover last week, finished second there, second at Daytona to start the season off, fourth at Atlanta, and then you look at the rest of his finishes, it's been outside of the top 17 for every single race outside of those 3 best finishes of the season. Just meaning, if you can have 2 to 3 really good finishes, those can carry you pretty far when this 21 currently at this moment is 10th in points.
Yeah, it just shows you how jumbled up the finishes have been this season, too. I mean, you know, I think we alluded to it last week. It was a little bit about how drivers' averages finishes were very high, you know, for a lot of them who were battling up front. As the battle up front continues, now Rochelle says, I want to get a stage victory here, man. He doesn't want to be second once more. He's going to be looking to the lead here, heading down to 1 and 2, and going to possibly be able to do it. But I think Whitley going to think other than that to fight back here in 1 and 2, because that's going to be the spot to do it. But he slides the rears there coming off of the corner, and Rochelle going to have the run he needs possibly here when they head to 3.
Going to be just slightly clear now. He's going to try to move up, and that's exactly what he does. Luckily, didn't get bumped by the 77, who gives plenty of space. But here comes that surge out of the corner. Mark Whitley back into the throttle sooner, but he couldn't get the run. Rochelle back to the lead position. And now it's time for the do-si-do back and forth, because if they continue to battle like this, Zach, it's going to be that Trent Jump, Nolan Hicks. They're closing in on our front 2.
Took the words out of my mouth, Sam, there, man. Trent Jump, Nolan Hicks, both of them closing it on down. And, you know, if Whitley does, you know, get back to Rochelle here and battle, it'll really open up that door for those drivers right behind him. But I think Whitley's starting to struggle a little bit. You see how hard he just shot up the corner there in 3 and 4? That rear end looks very unstable here in this run.
And that was the same exact move that we saw that 2 to 3 laps ago that gave Kyle Rochelle the opportunity to make that pass. He just does not look stable at all, and it is going backwards for that of the 77, which at this moment, Trenton Jump's starting to get a little bit of that draft help. He's starting to move forward, which is great to see. And a driver that's also could change up a little bit of how this run goes on is going to be a lap car. Robert Hattenback, he's actually going to be the 4th car in the line. He's 1 lap down and trying to unlap himself. He's got 10 laps to try to unlap himself the hard way.
Yeah, and he would like to do that because, you know, you would say, well, he's the lucky dog. He's in position to get that. Well, if you're a lucky dog, you got to go to the tail end of the longest line on that next restart. He wants to be able to restart right there where he wants to be. I mean, he wouldn't be too much farther since he's in 29th of the 31 cars, but, you know, you still don't want to have to start the tail end of that line just in case if you guys have to drop back. But getting closer to this stage here, and Rochelle leading the way.
As we take a look at her ticker, those are the markings of who you're looking for. Top 10 is where it matters. You want to be in the blue if you're going to be making to get yourself some bonus points. The major points to be grabbed are in the top 5. If you get 10 bonus points if you win, but if you get down there 10th, you only get 1 bonus point, but every point matters at this stage of the season. As here we go, Zach, it's going to be 8 laps to go. Finding some great racing up front, but it just seems like Mark Whitley's too far back. Now the question looms on Trent Jump. Did he burn off too much of his tires to catch up? And big kudos to Nolan Hicks. He has done a fabulous job to get up to 4th.
He really, really has, man. Nolan Hicks has been great all night. You know, dropped back there early to go in to save the tires. Came back up through as the run went on there before we hit pit road and has held on to that spot here late into this stage here. And man, Rochelle also, I gotta say, Hicks and Rochelle kind of the breakout here so far of the drivers up front, and right now really just looking to get the performances that they haven't been able to do this season so far.
And here comes Hattenback, fresh tires, going to be trying to make the pass for that of second place, passing the second place driver, I should say, still trying to unlap himself, which if you're a lead lap driver, this is kind of a worst case scenario. Coming to the end of a stage, tires are worn, and you're trusting a lap car to get by these leaders without taking them out.
Yeah, and you also, as you know, if you're the leader, Rochelle here, you're trying to make sure he passes you, but don't make you lose momentum. And this might be actual worst case scenario here, is he's gonna have this 99 on the inside heading down into one here, and hopefully gonna be able to cut back across here. And Whitley is going to try to take advantage of that, but I think Rochelle there smart enough to cut it back down, and now we'll have to run out of the corner. But Whitley, you can see there in the background, he was sliding that rear end.
He got way too giddy, felt like there was an opportunity there, got on the throttle too soon, and now the 77 is going to pay for it. Or will he, through that of 3 and 4, starting to make the charge forward? And this little series of events isn't over just yet, because now they're catching up to a lap car. That of Gregory Smith, and the 6 is running slow, looks to be damaged for himself, or just not feeling like the pace is there for the 6 machine, as our leader now has two lap cars in front of him, one that just unlapped himself and one that's looking to be going a lap down.
Yeah, and you can see Hicks in the background. He's going to make a move on Trenton Jump now for third, so it's stacking up even closer between our top 4. And with those, Gregory Smith now going a lap down there right there as he gets passed by Rochelle. He's also got Hattenback right there in front of him, who is not too much quicker. I mean, yeah, he's been quick enough to run up there and get his lap back, but it's not like he's just driving away from him. So he's still going to have somewhat of a dirty air there right in front of him. But luckily for Rochelle's sake, he's starting to open that gap up as these drivers behind him battle, as Hicks still trying to make the move.
Or laps to go, come to 3 at the line for this stage break for these drivers. Top 10 drivers get those bonus points. Right now, it's Cedric Hunter who's 10th in points. Right behind him is going to be Anthony Gaudio, but here comes the pick. Use the lap car as an advantage. Nolan Hicks up to 3rd.
Classic move there. Just moved that 46 right up into the groove of that 6 machine, and ooh, 46 almost into the back bumper there, into the edge of the corner, getting a little bit aggressive. But the 6 now going to power back around the 46, and Trenton Jump probably not going to be liking what he's seen there as the lapper right in the middle of this.
Absolutely not, but that's going to be helping out Nolan Hicks. He's now got a little bit of a gap to work with, and now his sights are set on 2nd place. And Nolan Hicks, he's going to need some great runs if he wants to find himself into the playoffs, as this is a driver that's 23rd in points. But again, all he needs to do is get a win and then be inside of the top 20, and that win counts and will be a ticket into the playoffs. So playoffs are still there, even though he's outside of the top 20 in points.
They definitely are still available for him, Sam, and he's looking very, very strong here. This is looking like we might possibly have another chance at another. Well, I tell you, we will most likely have another first-time winner if it would be one of these 4 guys up here, because these guys have not won this season so far. And surprisingly for Whitley and Jump also in that group with Rochelle and Hicks. But, you know, this is great to see, man. This is the parity that we like to see, and just a great competitive spirit they got here.
It has been a ultimate just switch up those first 2 seasons here for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It was domination. First season it was Mark Whitley and Vincent Sora, with Danny Cochran trickling in. Last season it was all John Forbes getting wins all the time. But for a stage break win, give it to Kyle Rochelle in the 21, as that will be your stage break with seeing these drivers go through. Top 10 drivers set stone as we wait for the yellow, and there it is, your stage break here tonight, sponsored by the Larry Art Productions. If you're looking for great quality and variety of YouTube videos and comedy, go to Larry Art Productions on YouTube for great entertainment. As tonight, that is going to be your stage 1. No more stages to go after this. As let's take a look at where these drivers lie. You see them in blue. It's Kyle Rochelle getting the win. 2nd goes to Mark Whitley. 3rd goes to Nolan Hicks. 4th is Trenton Jump. 5th is going to be Ethan Smith. 6th is Brandon Colley. 7th is Nick Crawford. 8th will be John Forbes, with that of Noah Steele in 9th. And getting your last bonus point, the driver who's 2nd in points so far into tonight, it's Cedric Hunter in the 13. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, here on a Monday night, watching some Truck Series action. This is the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, the No Legacy Texas 150 at Texas. What a wild race it's been so far. But we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're going to take you to the end. We are going to be having ourselves that of 75 laps to go. Who's going to get the win? Could we see another first-time winner? Or could we see someone double down as drivers hit pit road? We'll be back in just a few moments as we'll be back for Texas. He's following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my. 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Stets gets into the wall, gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron, drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside, trying to get the win, and it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 to get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is going to steal the win here.
He went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is racing action here at Texas on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer. With me, Zach Hall. We just got done with our stage break, seeing that Kyle Rochelle get the stage break win while he has already fallen back to 4th place. And the battling for seconds on as Trent Jump holds on for the 46 as he gets loose. Zach, cold tires, they're still trying to warm him up.
Oh, man, that was a big moment for the 46. He holds on to it now, but he's going to have that double zero to the outside, but it looks like Ethan Smith trying to hold on to his machine up in that top groove. He's going to slot back behind him, but the battle behind him is ensuing as you got Brandon Colley back there battling John Forbes. You got Cedric Hunter coming into the picture along with his teammate Nick Crawford, Logan Brakey. There's a big group of drivers back there from 7th on back.
Yeah, little cars, but the one to watch out for has got to be John Forbes, Cedric Hunter. They have been tagged hip to hip, and they are still surging forward as they're trying to get by that of Brandon Colley, who's in 6th position. Great points run there for Brandon Colley, 6th position, so he's going to get himself a couple of bonus points. But now it's the run to get to the end, as there are no more opportunities for stage points. It's all about the finish, and right now, challenging for the lead, Mark Whitley is dominating that part once he's got lead position. But Zach, I'm curious, Kyle Rochelle won the stage. Can he fight back? But also, how quick is this 13 compared to everyone else?
Yeah, I do want to see what, Cedric Hunter has here, too, for sure. I mean, he looked really good, especially on that first set of tires. Looked very, very fast. Second set didn't seem to go as well for him. Personally, from what I was watching there, guys, I mean, just the observation of the track, which it can be a little bit different from what the drivers are feeling. But these cars out here these trucks look very unstable, even as the run goes on. These guys are looking loose, very loose in the late run, which I didn't hear a lot of guys complaining of. Heard a lot of guys complain about the right front tire really being an issue later in the run. But if it is switching to that side of the right rear becoming an issue, and these guys getting looser as the run goes on, it will tend to swing to other drivers as this race transitions. So we could see some drivers start to really come into it here as the race changes.
Well, I also think, to tack on to that point of not really hearing drivers talk about that loose sensation for the longer run, I don't think a lot of drivers have truly practiced a long run stint. They maybe put in 5 to 15 laps into a run, then they said, that should be as long as we go, just because so many drivers knew the cold tires were going to be so risky to run on. Ooh. They were expecting yellows, and there it is.
The 7, huge hit for Kerry Trabu, man. That could have been even worse for a lot of other guys, but man, big incident. There's the first one of the night.
And talked about how drivers weren't expecting long runs. Well, we also threw out there was a chance that the second half of this race, more so the final quarter of this race, could get dangerous. And it already strikes here on lap 81. As take a look at the 7. He's got Anthony Gaudio, Nick Crawford right behind him and into the corner. It's going to be the 7. But Zach, I mean, just one small little slip up could be costly, and the 7 wasn't clear. Gets a little bit of tap from the 3.
Yeah, it just was not clear, like you said there, Sam. I mean, the 3 had the nose there. The 7 looked like he was following possibly the 8 down. A lot of times as drivers, you can be looking ahead there too much and follow that driver in front of you, and just unfortunately collects Martin Morales there in the 91. And then Isaac Shelley coming in there late too and getting a little piece of that. But yeah, just easy to do where you follow the driver down ahead of you, but you got to stay aware when someone has that nose just to the inside. And unfortunately, for the guys around that, a lot of them made it out, but not some of these drivers in the back.
Isaac Shelley, Kerry Trabu, both going to be drivers given a required damage flag, which is going to be a black flag with an orange circle, which is going to be indicating to the drivers, you have to come into pit road, and if they don't, they can get disqualified. So those two have to come into pit road. And Zach, now is the chance of throwing a little bit of a wrench out there. Drivers were given 4 extra sets of tires in pit road at the start of this race to utilize. Drivers have already come to pit road twice. I would imagine you're not gonna use a set, but technically you could use one now, as that was a quick little stint that we got to have for ourselves.
Yeah, that could be a possibility some of these drivers could look to go do. I don't think a lot of them are going to elect to do it. They probably want to keep their track position. And like you said, it was only a short little burst there. It wasn't too long of a portion of a run. So, really only I'd say, 7 to 8 laps there up to actual speed. So these drivers are going to be looking to probably hang on to these tires for now and see what they can do later in this race if there is a few more cautions, because you're going to want to set then possibly for that, but still plenty of sets available for them.
And we think back to 2 seasons ago, the only time the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series is raced here in Texas. They did go into overtime. We'll see if they'll need to do that again. As our second driver going to be done for the day, but first, because of on-track incidents, Kerry Tribune in the 7 looks to be calling it a night, which kind of has been the season for the 7, where he shows promise and then is either caught up in a wreck or finds himself spinning. And for the 7, once again, not the night that he wanted to have, as that, honestly, tonight's run could be the end of his opportunity to try to make a strike for the playoffs.
It very well could be, Sam, and that's a tough break for Kerry. So we'll see what can play out here in these final 3 races for him. But even I looked at Isaac Shelley too, who just parked his car. He's only came in here tonight 40 points above 20th, and he was 12th. He has that win at Sonoma, that does lock him in. But if he has moments like that where he gets knocked out of these races, 40 points can quickly disappear, and man, it could be tough for him to see Isaac Shelley possibly get knocked out here later this season.
You don't want to see that run go to an end like this, but both drivers got to figure out how to get that speed up. And for Isaac Shelley, he is going to certainly have a tough time. But sometimes you just got to, switch things up, got to change things out, and hope that the next week is going to give you a new fresh breath of fresh air. And speaking of something fresh and new, we got something new for everybody out there. We've got ourselves some merch that we have out there. If you want to be repping some freaky fast sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, and much, much more, go to that of a store Frontier at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. There's so much great, just quality merch to be found. I got myself a t-shirt. Gotta say, it is great quality. It feels great, and it's something that I love that I've purchased. And Zach, it's always good to be having some nice merch to be repping out there.
That it definitely is, Sam. Yeah, folks should definitely go check that out. And I love my Freaky Fast shirt. I'm about to go out there and get me another one for sure. Here is we got some new cool designs out there for folks, so definitely want to check that out. And while they're out there checking out our merch, they could also go check out one of our awesome other sponsors, and that is the Admin Box, folks. One of the best button boxes out there that allows you plenty of functions. Not only does it give you the driver functionality out there to, say you're pitting and pitting out or changing your tires as such, it also gives you race control abilities, such as, clearing black flags or throwing a caution for a stage like these drivers have to, or the league has to do here on a weekly basis. So make sure you go check out Admin Box at adminbox.com with 2 X's there, and use that discount code FFB/BOXX, and you can have race control at your fingertips.
So many great sponsors, so much great products to be found, but it's time for us to go back to Green Flag Racing here at Texas, the not Legacy Texas 150, as this is a bounty race. Ethan Smith is the bounty on the line. If he wins, he gets $15, but if a non-points leader wins this race, that means that anyone besides Ethan, they'll find themselves with $30 in their pocket. As we're back to Green Flag Racing, and it's Mark Whitley up front, and once again Kyle Rochelle struggling on the restart.
That is not what Rochelle wants to see, as he's been super fast during this race, but like you said, the restarts have not went his way, as he's going to fall back here now to that 4th position with Trenton jumping up to 2nd, and now it's going to be the 00 Ethan Smith who's got the bounty on his head.
Ethan Smith got the pole award to start this night off, so we know he's got the speed. The question has been, where is the race pace? He's been patient, trying to keep this 00 out of trouble, but now here comes the surge, another surge. The 13 is Cedric Hunter, biggest mover so far here tonight. He's up that of 15 positions. Same for GT Rosario back in 9th place. That 14 is up 14 positions. Those are 2 drivers that started out with penalties. They couldn't qualify, and now they're trying to make their march as Ethan Smith stuck to the high line, and he's got to be careful. He could be losing quite a few positions here.
Yeah, early in the going on that top side there in 3 and 4 especially, that shorter way around is so much quicker as this early run of the race is. You can see right now he's able to hold his own here kind of in 1 and 2. When they get down to 3 and 4, these drivers will have that inside line and preferred way around, which is just much more quick. But up ahead of him even here as we look back to Hicks, Rochelle even trying to make something happen on the outside of Trenton Jump here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and Rochelle had that opportunity because Trenton Jump was right on the quarter panel of our leader. Mark Whitley's got to be careful. This 46 is trying to make this pass for the lead, recognizing that clean air can be so important for a long run as we're coming up to that of just 60 laps to go. It's going to be putting us closer and closer to that window, and we're expecting drivers coming to pit road as Ethan Smith. What a save by that 00.
Yeah, that was a big moment for our points leader there, and he hangs onto that machine. And now Cedric Hunter going to take that position from not only Smith, but also Hicks there. So he'll get the 2-4-1 deal there. Is up ahead of him, his teammate Brandon Colley. He's going to make the pass on Kyle Rochelle, also to move himself up to third as now Jump keeps making more looks on that 77 up front.
It is just a complete go button has been launched for the drivers of the Snowy Desert Racing team. Brandon Colley, Cedric Hunter, they have both been just climbing up forward as Cedric, that of Colley up to third, and now Cedric Hunter up to 5th place. Pick and choose where you want to go as Kyle Rochelle now. It's got to be thinking, where do these guys come from? They were not my threats in the first half of this race.
That is the beauty of racing, folks out there. Stuff changes in just an instant, just like that, and drivers find that speed. And not only that, but the track goes through changes. The more rubber it lays down, and look at this front bumper cam. Brandon Colley pretty much on the back deck lid of that 46 as he comes out of 2, and he's going to be to the inside here, heading down to 3, looking to get up to 2nd. What is this Snowy Desert Racing team found?
It's just a complete, you know what, we're taking off, and honestly, it could have been the fact of learning so much in that first half of the race, learning on the fact of how much tire usage you were using up. Did you really need to save tires, or is it just a constant take off and go? And it seems like for the 94, it is a go, 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 because he is attacking for 2nd place, and he's got it as Jump too high, too far back, and now under trouble to go back to 5th place.
Oh, and they're going to be 3 wide now as Cedric Hunter looks to the inside of Rochelle. This may not work as Rochelle up into Jump as he's going to be the one launched out of the contact there for the 21 as he goes around.
He goes down into Hicks, into Ethan Smith, into the wall. We stay green, but they're all going to be slowing down. The pack, the wreck, the big one further on back out of turn number 4.
Oh, man, just a crazy few sets of corners there, and it all goes up. Pear-shaped there is the 3 wide move there. Just went wrong.
And drivers just nowhere to react, especially on the fact that Ethan Smith, once he got into the outside wall, he slowly crept down in front of the whole entire field, and they had nowhere to go, and the yellow flag flies. I mean, pick a driver, any driver, they had a scare there through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and our points leader, he took a heavy hit there for Ethan Smith in the 00, and man, it really all just went awry there. You know, with that 3 wide move, Cedric Hunter makes the move to the inside. Personally, the 13 does a pretty good job of keeping it on the bottom. And I think we'll get a look here to see, but this is a little bit, I think, later into the incident is, the 21 there. You can see after all that had happened, comes right back there, and the 00 gets a heavy hit in this, and that hurts his chances at the money here tonight.
And now the money is out. $30 on the line on whoever's going to win this race. To see Nick Crawford, he's sliding his way through. Jonathan Smith survives after getting on. And Zach talked about that last yellow. Who was going to come into pit road as Mark Morales to see that 91 sliding. Carl Pooler gets a hard lick into some other drivers, but talked about drivers picking and choosing. Did you want to come in for tires or fuel? And it seems like a lot of mind games have just came in. A lot of drivers into pit road under this yellow.
Yeah, and I think most of the field elected to pit here, and I think there's been one common denominator that didn't pit there, and that's the 94 of Brandon Colley. Looks like he stays out, so I don't think this is going to be the best decision for this 94, but you never know. Here, new tires for all these drivers are going to be fresh, cold tires. We could see a very much another chance at a big one.
Fresh tires, but the advantage does go to those that are on the colder tires. Yes, they're in a vehicle that can get out of hand, but there are a few drivers here, Zach, that decided to go with fuel only, and that's going to be the third car in line. Tom Bourne's going to be leading that charge. That of Mark Morales, who we just saw involved with that last wreck, he will be deciding to go with fuel only up to 7th place. Then you drop even further back. That of Joshua Freed went with, I believe, just a fuel only stop, but I'm going to have to double check to make sure if he went with just a 2-tire stop. But then drivers from 20th on back, Trenton Jump, Trevor Earhart, Nolan Hicks, Carl Poolert, Ethan Smith, Noah Steele, Kyle Rochelle, Gregory Smith, and many others. Heavy damage and had to stay in pit road for an extended time.
And with the timing of this caution here too, we're just outside that fuel window, about 5 laps here short. Sorry, about 6 laps short now of making it to the end of this race. So I don't know if we'll see anybody come in and top off and try to stretch that fuel to try to make it, to that full distance if we could get it green here to the end. But still looking at least another pit stop for majority of the field.
As we are under yellow, gives us time to talk about iRacing iFlag. You see them blinking at our top left. They are one of our major sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you're wanting to get clear and concise information on what the track state is like, go get yourself an iRacing iFlag virtual flag system, as well as your digital pit board from iRacing iFlag that gives you tons of information, such as how much laps left in your fuel, your average 5-lap usage, the weather conditions, and track conditions for yourself. All can be found on iRacingIFlag.com. Use our promo code that of FreakyFast 2022 at iRacingIFlag.com. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors as we are getting stacked up and ready to get rolling.
That we are here, Sam, and this will be interesting. You got Brandon Colley there, of course, in control of the field here on this restart on the older set of tires. But I think, like you alluded to, only for Tom Bourne there in that third position. He's going to be on the bottom there with Brandon Colley. So we might have 2 older sets of tires there leading the way going down into one. And that could get very, very mixy. And then, you have GT Rosari there. He is on the tires. But then also one car behind there is Martin Morales and then another set of tires. So that inside lane could get very stacked up.
The inside lane has so many drivers that decide to go on that same strategy. That's so bizarre to see. You usually see a little mixture of high-low. 3 out of the 4 drivers that went with that fuel strategy pick, they're going to be on the inside, majority of them up front. It's Joshua Freed in 10th place will be on the outside, so 10th on back. Got to be a little bit concerned on how the 96 will go, as everyone else on the inner lane, they are going to be hoping that these older tires can take off. As Brandon Colley, Tom Bourne, front 2, GT Rosari, you got to feel bad for the 14.
That you do. I think he's going to have to be making a quick move there, decide what he wants to do. And if you're Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, and John Forbes up there on the top side, you're going to be looking to go as high as possible here to get around these guys here quickly to get out front.
As the laps continue to tick down, our stage break winner of Kyle Rochelle involved with that last wreck. Many of other favorites involved with that last wreck. Mark Whitley, Brandon Colley, 2 different ideas. Colley going to be on the older tires, did not pit. Mark Whitley just came into pit road. A great launch for the 94. He did not wait for anybody, but he's going to be just slightly clear as drivers further on back. Got to be careful because here we go into turn number 1.
And immediately Mark Whitley going to try to jump to the outside of that 94, but he's a little bit loose there coming out of 2, and he's going to give up the spot here possibly. Is now you're going to have Cedric Hunter in the 13 looking to pull forward. You're going to have the 94 giving a little bit of draft to his teammate behind, but here now into 3, we'll see how the door opens up.
As they're going to be now in the toughest spot. The drivers are feeling the cold tires. They're trying to warm up. They're going to be a little bit slick to hold on. But now Cedric Hunter up to 2nd place. What a dash from the 13 from all the way back from practically last place. Couldn't qualify. Now battling for the lead position, and he will take it. The 13 is your new leader.
And what a job here by him to get to that lead. Like you said, driving through the field after that penalty, looking for a 3rd victory. And if he was able to get his 3rd victory, that would be a big statement with nobody else out there being a multi-time winner other than him.
A lot of drivers were thinking maybe Cedric Hunter just had a bad week last week because he wanted to be 2nd in points so then he could take the bag of $30 if he wins at Texas. Well, now it's the difficult time. Can he make this surge work as he's being heavily pressured by Mark Whitley for the lead, and then the drivers that are on older tires, they're battling for 3rd.
Yeah, Tom Bourne and Brandon Colley, I'm telling you, they're hanging on very well. That cooling down phase of the tires did bring the life probably back to the tires, and we're probably not seeing a major amount of fall off here tonight at this track, especially these cool temps. But I will tell you, that is super impressive to see how this 16 and this 94 right here.
Well, it's like complete major opposites, right? Like we talked about, the first 10 laps, you're going to be on those slick tires that are trying to warm up. You're trying to feel confident as here comes Mark Whitley to the inside, trying to get to the inside quarter panel here. He's going to be on those colder tires, and you got to be careful as there's the late block by the 13. But with that Brandon Colley and Tom Bourne, they're on older tires. They can full throttle. They don't really have to worry about that loose sensation that our leaders are dealing with.
Yeah, you allude to it, Sam. There, those tires are a little bit more worn in and ready to go here. So the stability probably there for them. They're probably just lacking a little bit of front turn that the front two can have, but they're able to get to that gas a lot more confidently. And look at Logan Breakey's run, though. What a job by him in that 29 as he's trying to hold off GT. This is exactly what Logan needs here late in the season.
Logan Breakey, Tom Bourne, both drivers that need some major points as they are still outside of the top 20 just in points. They don't even have a win, but a driver that's even deeper in the field in points-wise, it's 14 of GT Irizarry, who is searching for that first win, possibly for the 14 machine. This could be the time, but for the lead, Mark Whitley's got to the quarter panel, and he's back to the point.
Yeah, back to that lead position, and he was just hounding Cedric under the 13 continuously lap after lap, and I think at some point Cedric had to give in there and let this 77 get out front. He's just got the pace, and he'll just try to latch on here and see what he can do as this run goes on, because that's going to be the key. You know, can you stay with this 77, or is he going to be able to drive himself away as, you know, Tom Bourne was able to get around Brandon Colley there and pull himself up with third.
Fourth now going to be for that Akali, GT Irizarry fifth, Logan Breakey and Christopher Norris up to 6th and 7th. Christopher Norris, I mean, think back to this driver. He was really on a spot where we were talking about we wouldn't even finish in the top 20. And now he got, because of so many drivers taken out up front with that last incident, it's kind of done a huge swap. The drivers that were trying to stay inside of the top 20, now battling to be inside of the top 15 or even if inside of the top 10. As you see here, there's the 38 machine battling along. And Zach, we saw there also on our picture in the top 10, it's Tyler Dangler, who also was a driver that was struggling in the first half of this race.
I mean, it is crazy to see the changes that you can have here. And, you know, you think about it, it's the drivers that are farther up in points that are doing the better job here later in the race. And the drivers that were kind of, you know, around that cut line that were doing well to start, they're faltering back. And it's kind of playing out like their seasons have been doing. So, you know, it's kind of showing that consistency that you need to get into those playoffs. And the drivers that have been a little bit more consistent so far are showing out right here late in the race.
As they continue to race on, the battling for third is starting to pick up a little bit more. Those old tires starting to fall off. Colley, Tom Bourne, they're going to be side by side, but they're doing a great job just making a wall, not allowing GT Irizarry to even think about going on by, which, I mean, if you're two drivers on old tires, this is the best way you can go. Just make a wall. Don't let anyone else go on by. But now Tom Bourne, a little bit of a shimmy. He's got to worry now about GT Irizarry and the rest of the field with fresh tires.
Yeah, and he definitely does. Is Brandon Colley is going to like what he sees behind him as he's hoping Tom could hold these guys off as long as possible. But Bourne just looks very, very loose here as this run continues to go. And right now, Irizarry going to make the pass to the outside, and he'll be looking to possibly get something done here on Colley. But Christopher Norris continues his climb. He's going to be looking to get into 6th.
And now is the impossibility thoughts. You're hoping, you're focusing on the now, but we do also got to think about the future here, Zach. These drivers cannot make it to the end of this race. Based off even the last caution's yellow, they're still going to be finding themselves 5, if not 7 laps shy from making it to the end. It's a lot of fuel that they're going to have to think about saving. And if you're Tom Bourne or Brandon Colley, who went with no tires on the stop, if they have to come into pit road, they're most likely going to have to take tires.
Oh, no doubt. They're definitely going to probably have to burn their set here. But, you know, the other group of drivers who took another set there, including the one they did from the green flag stops at the beginning of the race and at stage 1, you know, they're going to only be sitting at 1 set of tires here. If they come down, and they do have to make a green flag stop, like we alluded to, not be able to make it on fuel. If they come down here too early, get their last set of tires, they're going to be in a tough position if a caution does come out later in the race too. So, you know, it puts you in some interesting opportunities and interesting situations, but we'll see how the strategy does play out. I don't think those pit stops will start happening until about lap 120.
A lot of decisions are going to have to be made on who can save the fuel and who is on extreme fuel saving, or do you just fight it out? As right now, front 3 all spacing out, and front 2, spacing out from one another. It's really battling for third place. It's looking a lot closer, but this is further on back. These are some of the drivers who were involved with that last incident. Dakota Moniz really trying to just save any type of position possible for himself, which for this driver, I talked about earlier on, he comes into tonight 13th in points. Only a 20-point gap between himself and Anthony Gaudio. Luckily for himself, he's seen other drivers struggle, so it's given him some positions, but still losing ground, and it's going to be closer and closer to that bubble spot after tonight if he finishes where he's at now.
Yeah, no doubt. That's not what Dakota wants to see for himself. So he's got the hope to try to change those fortunes for himself. But, you know, as they head into these final 3 races after tonight into the regular season, it's only going to get tougher. So he's got to be able to come back next week. If he can't, you know, if he does lose points here tonight in the overall scheme of things, he's got to come back next week ready to go.
As we were watching right on board with the 4 of Nick Crawford, Zach, I mean, this track, we talked about the uniqueness, how turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are so different, but you see the wheel action from the 4. He is really working it on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, the amazing thing to see here, guys, is very little left-hand wheel into it. I mean, when you come to Texas, you're going to see a lot more turn in that wheel usually, as they're going to go by Rochelle here who's hurt, but barely even cranking the wheel left. That just shows you how much this truck on itself is wanting to turn in these corners. It's not taking much to make it want to turn. So right here, very little wheel into it, and even at some points here, turning right.
Turning right, trying to keep this thing straight as possible, and trying not to scrub off any more time than you have to. As these drivers continue to race on up front, Brandon Colley for 5th position, going to be losing ground as he's going to be having almost 3 wide positioning for 5th place. Going to be happening for themselves. Colley goes high, but through the grass, Anthony Gaudio holds on for himself.
Yeah, 2 moments through the grass there. It was 3 wide there, coming off of 4 almost, and he went through the grass through the first part of the first straightaway there. Then went through the second part also there. So tough break for Gaudio, but he holds on to it through the grass. As now Stamp's going to have his teammate Trenton Jump there going to the inside.
Eric Stamp falls back, and Trenton Jump, wounded from the contact that he had between himself, Kyle Rochelle, and others during that major big one that struck. Now going to be hoping to just try to stay stable. I got to say, for the 46, he's gotten a little bit of damage both on the left and right side, but he's not looking too much out of this race. It just looks like after spending all the time, it's going to be heavily blocked all the way down to the apron practically. Anthony Gaudio not letting him jump by at all. Woo!
Hitting the elbows out. I think, you know, Gaudio noticed that, hey, man, I lost a lot of time there from going through that grass. I think I could be farther up here. I think that's why I'm in this position. So he says, no free passes here. It covers them off all the way down to the inside. So great a move there, and very aggressive here late in the going by these guys.
And you also, I mean, you take back the last season, I mean, that could have been a little bit from that as well. Anthony Gaudio really got blocked and heavily pushed around during most of last season. Coming into this season, it seemed like a lot of drivers decided, I'm going to block. If I feel like I was raced too hard last season, I'm bringing that energy into this season. And that's where the 3 really defensive to Trenton Jump, which Trenton Jump notoriously was pushed around a lot, but at the same time, fast driver is willing to use his elbows. 46 gonna get aggressive here as you're right on board with Anthony Gaudio, and in front of him, he's seen the battling and blocking by Colley and Tyler Dangler.
Yeah, man, the blocking is coming out here in Texas. Everybody trying to hold on to positions as they know passing is at a premium. And look at this, as Colley sees this happening, he's going to come to pit road here on 116 here, pretty early pit stop.
John Forbes going to be coming into pit road with Brandon Colley, and they've got to make sure, do not get caught speeding. That is going to be a major incident that you do not want to be caught up with. And as they're coming into pit road, that is going to be the dinner bell for a lot of drivers. You have to come in. This money stop can be so important. Do not make any mistakes coming into pit road. But you're most likely going to have to do so, as front runners Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, they are constantly pulling away. They almost had a little bit of a scare with the 00 of Ethan Smith, who's just pedaling around hoping to get some type of decent finish for himself after being involved with the wreck. Next driver into pit road, going to be the 16 of Tom Bourne.
Pit road heating up, but I better tell you what, is these two have kept it pretty similar. This have gap about 1/10 to 2/10 pretty much every single lap between the 13 and the 77. So showing a lot of pace here between these two. It's just going to be right now one of those times where they're kind of trying to bluff each other probably out here and try to, you know, make their pit call at the right time. That's going to be really, I think, what they're thinking is, who is going to get the timing right here? When do I need to come down the pit road to beat this driver ahead?
Also going to be the question of who's going to be next in line to go into pit road. That's going to be 4 drivers that have made their stops. First was Nick Crawford, who went with a 2-tire and fuel stop for the Ford machine. And then you had the 2 of Colley, as well as seeing that John Forbes hitting pit road. Now Tom Bourne. Question is, when do you come in? And we were thinking about splitting this stint in half. And technically, we're about 5 laps away from splitting in half.
Yeah, we are, Sam, and I think that would personally be probably the right way to go. I wouldn't be looking to do too much more than that. You know, if you go past 125, you're giving up a lot of time to drivers who've already came to pit road with not a lot of time to run them down. So unless you're Mark Whitley or Cedric Hunter, they got a gap that'll allow them to really be in a good position to stretch a little bit farther. But a lot of these other drivers can't wait too long.
As Tyler Dangler going to be hitting pit road, you see there for the 19. That's another one of your front runners trying to make the stop. Hit early, build a big enough lead over the drivers in front of you, and hope that those that pit later on don't have enough time to run you down. But a big advantage is you gain a lot of time, as right now, based off the driver's fastest laps, they're about a second to a second and off of some of those times. So this is a perfect opportunity to undercut and get that advantage, as Anthony Gaudio now making the push into pit road.
Yeah, pit lane continue to get busier and busier as this laps click away, but nobody in that top 3 yet to have hit pit road yet. GTR is already about 3 seconds back from our top 2, but yeah, with not much fall off either, this is going to be interesting, you know, because it's going to be tougher. That means for drivers like Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, drivers who take this longer to the stint, if they get behind guys, it could be that very well could be the timing that holds them back from getting back to that lead.
But taking to that point, Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter, they've pulled away such a gap over everyone else. I mean, even with the tire advantage that some of these other drivers are going to have, they have to hope that they've got maybe a 6-7 lap advantage to even have the passing capability to get by the 77 and the 13, just based off the timing delta that they're going to be having of coming into pit road, out of pit road, and having those fresher tires. Because of the gap that Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter has put out, this is giving those 77 and the 13 a little bit of a buffer on when they truly want to come into pit road.
Yeah, it's definitely it gives them that. Yeah, it gives them a lot more options pretty much up front. So they will be able to have that luxury. GTR's already drivers like Logan Breakey, I think they're more thinking of, hey, what if we catch a caution here? They definitely don't want to be coming down. And you know, another thing to keep in mind is that's the last set of tires too for a lot of these guys. So you don't want to be coming down too early, because if you take your last set of tires here and we do get a caution here later in the race, you want to have the freshest set of tires of the drivers around you.
Cedric Hunter's in 13 into pit road for himself, and it was a scare. 13 locked up and came sliding on through. Christopher Norris, black flag on entry to pit road, caught speeding for himself. Just complete meltdown for the last 2 drivers hit pit road.
That is not what the 38 needed, and man, not only did he speed, but like you said, lost it completely, and that's going to just completely ruin his race. So 38, he's going to need to head into the next 3 weeks looking to possibly be climbing out a points hole.
And it's going to be a tough last of these 3 weeks. We're heading to that at Watkins Glen, Charlotte Oval, Nashville Super Speedway. Next week's going to be probably the toughest task, but Charlotte as well as Nashville Super Speedway, 2 tracks where it's pretty difficult to make passes. So you got to work on that qualifying speed, position yourself in these next couple of weeks. Trenton jump into pit road for himself. And now it is the questions. The 14 makes the indication he's coming into pit road. Mark Whitley continues to stay out. And Zach, I'm not surprised by this. 2 seasons ago, Mark Whitley, he found himself in a position where he was the underdog on older tires, had to fend off other drivers with fresher rubber. I think he feels like he wants to have that advantage if a late caution comes out, as he's made the indication he's heading into pit road.
Yeah, I think he's seen enough here. He's going to have a decent gap here with that mistake with Cedric Hunter. We'll see what the gap is like between those 2. I do think maybe Hunter might be able to jump him even with that mistake, but I don't think it's going to be by very much, because Whitley already here heading on down to his box. And like you said, Sam, I think he wants to have some of the freshest tires in the field.
And drivers that have already come to pit road, the battling is on between those. It's John Forbes and Brandon Colley that is actually leading the drivers that will presumably have the lead after this pit cycle is done. And John Forbes is being pushed by the 94, and Forbes is dealing with a little bit of damage after being involved with that big wreck, and now he's got the 94 hounding him and trying to make this pass now.
Like I said, this is going to be that battle for what will be the lead when it all cycles through, and there's Whitley there going by on pit road, so they're going to have a nice little gap back to the 77, but how long will it take that 77 to get to him? That's going to be the question is now. Colley completely past the 11.
And Mark Whitley has fallen all the way back compared to all those that just came to pit road. He's going to be mired 5th, take the back 6th of all the drivers that have already pitted. As see there, Brandon Colley trying to get by that at the 25. Cody Reed falls to 7th, still needing to come to pit road. Is the 25, but Zach threw it out there. They were only 5 to 7 laps shy from making it. If someone went on a crazy fuel-saving run, they could have a shot to win this. That's going to be a lot of work. Colley is still almost a full lap back from Logan Brakey.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of time to save. So, with that gap, it technically is possible still for someone to do it, especially Logan Brakey. He's in the best position, but as I say that, he is already pulling his 29 down here to pit road to get service done on it, so he'll pull down from the lead. We'll see now as it gives the lead over to Trevor Earhart. Earhart not going to have as big a gap to Brandon Colley. It's going to be about just under 20 seconds now, but still, could we see someone try to save the fuel? It might not be a winning strategy at the end of the day, but it could very well be a strategy that helps get you some decent points.
I think that's the big thing. Get some decent points if possible. Now it's also going to be Noah Steele and Nolan Hicks going to be still out there on track. Those are the last 3 drivers before we get to this battle that's on screen. Cedric Hunter is right there with John Forbes and Brandon Colley. This is what could be the lead position if Cedric Hunter can make this pass as fast as possible. John Forbes, huge pinch on the exit of the corner. They'll be side by side into turn number 3.
Yeah, if you're Cedric Hunter, you're just trying to look forward and run away because you know that 77's got the fresher tires and he's not too far behind. Man, it's going to be a battle, I think, between them two if we do stay green to see who wins this race. But with 19 here now to go, Cedric Hunter closing in on his teammate Brandon Colley for that 4th spot.
About 3 seconds is the difference. At last lap, Mark Whitley found himself being about almost a little bit less than a half a second faster than Cedric Hunter. So based off of that timing, the 77 should catch up to Cedric Hunter, but Hunter just made 2 passes. Now he's got a little bit of clean air to work with. This is the moment for Cedric Hunter. He has to build up the gap with 18 laps to go. Still also waiting on Trevor Earhart, Noah Steele, Nolan Hicks. Have they saved enough fuel to try to make it to the end, or are they just waiting on the yellow that is looming and could potentially come out?
Well, we got 18 laps here coming now to 17 to go to answer all our questions here at the ISRC Truck Series. Man, it's been a great night of racing here at Texas, and this track once again showing it's been a classic here for them, as we could very well have a battle coming down to the very end of this race, coming down to the wire.
It's going to be, again, still Trevor Earhart ahead of Nolan Steele. Steele's trying to close in on this gap. And they're just a couple of tenths off here or there. And the advantage does go to Trevor Earhart. But Earhart, extremely damaged as the 41. He is dealing with a wounded front bumper. And that is a lot of damage for himself to deal with. But for Noah Steele, on the other hand, this 8 looks pretty pristine overall when you look at himself.
That he does. I mean, just a tiny bit of damage on the right front fender, not very much. And I think he'll be in a good position here if he can save some fuel to get a very decent finishing from this. So 16 to go, and they're about 12 to 11 seconds now ahead of Cedric Hunter, who's closed in and got past Nolan Hicks now for that 3rd spot. So, I think still at the end of the day, Cedric Hunter either way does close this gap down and get to these drivers up here. But this still could be a top 5, top 10 effort for these drivers in these top 2 spots.
And also keeping my eye on 3rd place and 5th, that 3rd place and 6th place runner. That's Cedric Hunter, Mark Whitley. Cedric Hunter pitted that up 3 laps sooner than the 77. And it looks like, given a lot of positioning, Nolan Hicks going to get out of the way. Brandon Colley going to be keeping it side by side, but not able to hold off at all. The 77, that was the cleanest 2-for-1 special he could have asked for, as now it's the battle between 3rd or 4th of the drivers that are already pitted and are good to make it to the end, compared to the front 2 that are now about to battle for the lead position. But Nolan Steele looks like he might be gifted the lead position based off of radio conversations of Trevor Earhart.
Yeah, it sounds like Earhart possibly coming here to pit road this time. Yes, he will. He'll take the left-hand turn down to pit road, get himself down to pit speed, and try to get his service done. So we'll see how it all shakes out now with 13 to go here. No one's still out front, and about 9 seconds back to the 13 of Cedric Hunter, who's got about a 1.5 gap back to Mark Whitley. And when it all looks to cycle through, that'll possibly be the battle for the win. And Tell you what, still right now holding on position. If he was to get a caution, he would like to see them.
You would love to have a yellow that could change everything for this 8 machine, but he's staying pretty low and he continues to race on. Noah Steele coming into tonight, his best finish was at Las Vegas where he finished 11th. He still has not finished inside of the top 10. He hasn't gotten a top 5, but man, he had the speed to prove that he could be a top 5 contender at almost every race we go to. But Zach, it's been the finishes, and tonight the risk is certainly there for the 8 machine as we're right on board with Mark Whitley. He sees the Hello Kitty machine. It is in sight now.
Yeah, the question is going to be, can he keep the tires underneath him? He's got the advantage when it comes to those tires, but can he keep that delta of advantage in between them two? He's got to run them down, run very hard to get to him. And I've been seeing a few times this 77 has been very sideways. So we'll have to watch here. Does his tires go away? Can he get around Cedric Hunter cleanly? Because when he gets there, it's just going to get tougher.
And also, we've seen Mark Whitley, in the first, battling it out for stage 1 at the end, the rear end. Once it started to kick out, it just got worse and worse every other lap. 77, he's working that wheel a lot on the exit of the corners, and it just seems like that rear end, with 10 laps to go, he's got to have a prayer that rear end holds steady as he's right on the back bumper of Cedric Hunter. And these drivers, they're now within 3.5 seconds of Noah Steele. They're gonna catch Steele within that of 2 to 3 laps. Now, this is the charge for the win.
And that pass could be the pass that sets up a pass for the lead. So, it could get very, very interesting. Whitley has closed in very quickly here and does have a tire advantage. But I think Hunter here, he's smart enough to know he's had to save something for the 77 as he knew it was going to happen here at some point. We'll see. Does he try to hold him off here, or does he just have nothing for him?
Stays low, trying to hold out. Gonna be drifting up, just doing a lazy block. Now aggressive blocking is gonna happen on the backstretch. And the bumper gets used, and now into turn number 3. Will there be a bump and run? That was something that was talked about a lot as Kyle Rochelle holds the inside lane. They have to gradually move up, and whoo! Was that a scary moment for these drivers as they cleanly get by Kyle Rochelle, but right back to the blocking action. They're now within a second away from Noah Steele, and what was once a battle for second, now soon to be for the lead here as Steele now making the indication over the radio. He's going into pit road. Here we go, Zach. This is for the win.
And that it is, Sam, and man, they're going to be coming to 7 laps to go. We know how crazy the finish was here last season 1 here in Texas. Can season 3 bring us something just like that? We'll see. Maybe it's a photo finish, but right now Whitley has the stronger truck, but Cedric Hunter being super aggressive, and it's going to be a bump into the entry, but he holds on to it, but Whitley going to get to the outside.
That's all he wanted. Lose the speed, scrub it off. Now he's going to be side by side. Mark Whitley in the better defensive lane, especially on these tires. Can Cedric Hunter send it into turn number 3, or will it be just too much? He has to get aggressive, but the fresher tires for the 77. The run out of turn number 3. He holds for now, but a little bit of a tap. He had to let off. Zach, it's not over yet, but now, coming to the end of this race, 6 laps to go. Hunter has to have another miracle run like he had at Pocono, but this might be just a little bit too much to handle.
And here they come up on the lap traffic up ahead of him. It's Ethan Smith in the 00. I think he's going to clear now for that 77. He's going to drop it low. Here comes Cedric Hunter in the 13. They'll be coming to 5 to go. Does the 13 have anything for the 77? I doubt it.
And Ethan Smith, huge pinch on the 13 that made him have to woe up for a second, and that was the move. That was the last opportunity, and Mark Whitley can thank that of Ethan Smith for not allowing Cedric Hunter to have a second chance.
Yeah, I think Hunter wanted a little bit more room there to be able to open up that wheel there on the exit. Couldn't carry the speed he wanted to, but Whitley looks in his mirror, hoping right now that he can just check out here and go get that first victory of the season, because he knows Cedric Hunter's already got 2 of them. He knew with that blocking going on, he was not going to allow that to happen for long. He uses the bumper, and here with 4 to go, he's opening up the gap.
4 to go, fresh tires. He waited until he absolutely had to come into pit road. He gave up just enough time to run down that of the 13, makes the pass. And Mark Whitley, coming into the season, Zach, the 77 was certainly the threat. And I think for a lot of drivers' minds, after the season that Mark Whitley had for season 1, then took a break for season 2, came back, tried to go for a chance to win this season. we thought it was going to be a Mark Whitley show. He was dominating in that qualifying and leading the laps, but he did start and park for the first 3 races, and now making this surge. Honestly, Mark Whitley could be the biggest threat to watch out for if it's not Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think these two right here, from what they've at least shown this season speed-wise, I think the championship is going to have to go through one of these two if you want to win it. You're going to have to beat this 13 and this 77. I know the 77 doesn't have a win this season, but he's shown winning speed. And I think that'll count when you get to that, final few races in the playoffs. You got to have the speed. You don't just randomly build speed out of nowhere, and these two definitely got it. So right here with 2 to go, about 6 seconds to the next clearest car, these guys out front have battled pretty hard.
I mean, for Mark Whitley, it has been a lot of fighting. It's been some struggles. You thought he was going to get that first win at Pocono, but at a turn number 4, it's been a long night, a lot of racing. We saw just a handful of drivers bringing out yellows if it wasn't for the stage break. But here tonight for the Ride Rad White Flag, a driver that's been searching for a win all season long. He was one of the most winning drivers from season 1. And it takes him 10 races here, Zach. There's just one more opportunity for Cedric Hunter. He needs to be perfect if he wants to steal this win away.
He has, like you said, one more shot, but just I don't think going to be close enough. About 3 tenths back here, heading to 3 and 4.
It's just too much. Too much was there, but a great drive from Mark Whitley. The 77 is back to victory lane in the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series.
Two-time winner here in Texas also, so now going to be the only winner here we see in this Texas Motor Speedway when it comes to this league. Great job by Whitley, and he's going to be pumped up because this has been a long one coming this season. 10 starts in.
The last time he won in this series was season 1 back in 2021. It was December 20th, right before our holiday break and right when the playoffs was coming through the conclusions for season 1. Heartbreak came to the end of the season, wasn't able to get the championship. Comes back for season 3, and the 77 finally, after so many opportunities to win this season, it took him 10 tries. And the 10th time's the charm, as he will win here at Texas and as well will win the bounty. $30 goes to 77. Whew, what a race. What a charge. We saw amazing saves. We saw great runs. Pitch strategy was the key. But for us here tonight, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, we're going to talk to our winner, Mark Whitley, Cedric Hunter, and third place finisher, GT Irizarry, get their thoughts on how tonight went. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. The Not Legacy Texas 150 came down to that of a pit strategy where Mark Whitley gets the win. But before we talk to our winner, we're going to drop all the way back to third place where we got that of GT Irizarry, third place finisher here tonight. GT, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, but man, how was it like being out there on track? Because it looked tough here tonight.
It was fun. Did it look fun to y'all?
It looked fun to me.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, this is one of my favorite tracks right here. I mean, we had a penalty from last week's race, so we made sure we stayed on the right side of pit road when we pitted under green and stuff like that. So we had to start from the back, and I was really like, damn, I really didn't want to do that here. But then I was like, well, I don't know. We'll just have to play our cards, see how they fall, and just go. I mean, we were hoping for the long run because I had a feeling that we were going to have a better truck on the long run, and it kind of showed that.
That it really did, GT, man. Congrats on another great finish, man. This is a 3-in-a-row streak now, top 10s after third there at Las Vegas, 8th at Dover, and now another third place finish here at Texas, man. I know we got Watkins Glen coming up, and that track always a tough track for people. Charlotte and then Nashville Super Speedway with 3 races left to go before the playoffs. It came in about 44 points out of the 15th place, which would be that final point position for the playoffs. How do you feel heading into the next 3 after gaining a little bit of points here, it seems tonight?
Got to get a W. I mean, it's not going to happen next week, and I don't know. Charlotte is questionable. We like that track, so it's going to have to be on a 1.5 miles or something of that sort. I mean, short tracks, there's way better drivers out here to do that, and the road courses, I don't know. We can get around. I mean, I'm looking to hopefully at least pull off a top 10 at Watkins Glen, but we'll see. I mean, from last road course we raced with these boys, I mean, they're good in these trucks, and I don't know. We were just, hanging on. So that's all we can do at Watkins Glen, just try to hang on as best we can.
Well, tonight, GT, another top 3 finish. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, as always, like you boys up in the booth. I mean, you do one hell of a job every week. I look forward to watching the races afterwards, just to hear how professionally it's done. I personally, really do appreciate that. I got to thank the boys here in the Truck League for putting us on, Mustang Week for coming on board, and also, ButtKicker, and I've said it before, and I didn't say it last time you talked to me, but also, my teammates from RSR as well. I mean, that they've helped develop me into how I can wheel these things now. So I definitely need a shout out to them too. Appreciate it, guys.
That is going to be the 14 machine, GT Irizarry. Congratulations on a third place finish, and good luck next week heading to the Glen.
Appreciate it, guys. Night.
To go from third place, we'll head to second place where we have that of 13 machine, kind of on the same run that GT had to do all the way from the back half of the field up front and almost got to victory lane. Cedric and Sam and Zach up at the booth. I mean, you had a great run there at the end, but just came up a few laps shy from victory lane. How are you feeling after this one?
I'm feeling pretty good. Got second place when I knew it was going to be hard fought anyways. This track's kind of brain dead in my opinion, so it's really hard to pass because it's so easy. Yeah, we were kind of hoping to just come out with a good finish, and thankfully we did it. Honestly thought that pitting before Mark would have been the way to go, and it didn't. I don't know. I guess compared to every other track, it seems to be the opposite here. So, he was somehow able to run 2/10 faster, which I was the fresher tires, but when we were full throttle through 3 and we weren't lifting in anything, he was still running me down by like 2/10 just in that corner alone, and then 1 and 2 was about the same. So he was quicker. He did what he had to. So congrats to him. And yeah, finishing P2 is a lot better than what I kind of expected coming in.
Yeah, man, a great run nonetheless for you after coming back from the penalty there, Cedric. So up to that second spot here, and we've seen this track be very interesting. I know I even talked to you a little bit before the race, about how the truck handled, and we've seen a lot of guys looser longer into the runs than we kind of expected. Did the track kind of go through a transition, or was it just random times where it got loose?
No, I mean, I know I told you before the race that it was going to get really tight, like really like right after when the tires got up to temp, and it kind of did the opposite where it just got looser and looser throughout the run. So the tires burnt off evenly for most of those runs. I was kind of like 85 across both the right side tires, so it was super even. It's just the balance. When I went to the looser side, we had to wheel it. So unfortunately, I think the run before the very last one, so the one right before that we went green, or that we did the green flag stops, I pushed too hard and I burnt up my right front, and by the end of that run, I couldn't turn anymore. So we didn't do what we had to, but we move on and we go on to next week, and then hopefully we can win that.
Next week, going to be at the Glen, as well as got that of Charlotte, Nashville Super Speedway. How are you feeling about these next 3 races that are coming up here?
Feeling really good. Like Charlotte, I super confident about that. I think I can come home with a podium. As long as nothing goes wrong with Watkins Glen, I am not too thrilled about it. I think that if it drives anything like snow, I'm going to struggle because I think that the trucks drive awful on the road courses. So I guess I'm just gonna have to run practice laps and get used to it, and then hopefully we can do decent there. And I forgot what the last track was, if you don't mind.
It's going to be Nashville Super Speedway.
Oh,
Um,
I've actually never done a race there, so I have absolutely no idea what to expect. Again, hopefully we do okay. That way we can set ourselves up with a points lead going to the playoffs. But we'll see how it plays out.
We're excited to see how it turns out. Cedric, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to my race team, Freaky Fast Racing, with all my teammates Norris, Nick, and Brandon. They did a good job. A couple of mistakes here and there, like Brandon surprisingly held off with old tires and managed to get a pretty good finish for himself. Norris got a penalty and then they got involved in something. So kind of up and down for the whole team, but congrats or good job to them for managing. I'm going to give a huge shout out to the fans out there and you guys for doing the broadcasting, and to all the salty drivers after this race that are upset at me for pretty much no reason. So, yeah.
That's going to be the 13 machine of Cedric Hunter. Congratulations on a second place finish, and good luck heading to the Glen next week.
Thanks, man.
As we go from second place, we go to Victory Lane, where we have that of Mark Whitley, the 77. Took him a while to finally get here. We had certainly a lot of strong cars throughout the season, but Mark, you finally find yourself in Victory Lane this season. Took 10 tries here in season 3. How does it feel to be back into Victory Lane in the ISRC Truck Series?
It feels great, especially when we have a race go our way. We don't get trapped a lap down, don't have somebody, caution coming out at the worst possible point, and it just everything kind of went our way. And feels really good finally get off the 0 number.
Yeah, Mark, I tell you what, that was a great job by you tonight, man, to get that first victory. And yeah, I mean, 10 races in this season is, up to this point, you probably would have thought you might have had a few before up to this, but you still got 3 races left in the regular season. How do you feel about closing these 3 out here before these playoffs kick off?
Well, next week I think is the Glen, which I always love running road course races. So I feel like we have a shot there. I think the week after that I won't be here. I'm going to be on a cruise, so I'll miss that race. But then the week after, I don't remember what the race is, but we're going to try to come out there and see how many more wins we can get. Going to be 2 more races for us in the regular season, so hopefully we can maybe go out and win both of them. If not, just get solid finishes. Try to run up front and just get ready for the playoffs. Coming into the season, I was a little worried having to start and part the first 2 races of the year, but it's worked out. We've actually been able to get a lot of stage points and claw back up through the standings, and I think we were all the way up to 3rd coming in here, which is kind of amazing, seeing how much bad luck we've had all year. But it's been interesting to say the least. It's not as nearly as smooth as season 1 was in here. Had a lot more adversity, but it makes the wins all the sweeter when you have to overcome so much.
That's certainly true. I mean, this season, I think if you being in 3rd place with those 2 starting parks kind of shows the whole entire rest of the field how much inconsistency they've been having. But Mark, it's been great to watch you finally get to this winning mark after having so many dominant looking trucks out there on track. Congratulations again on that. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Oh yeah, big shout out. Shout out to Cedric. I know I told him in the cool down room we were having, said I wasn't about to let what happened at Pocono go. I won't want to be as nice, so I had to kind of shove him off into one at one time. But he was a good sport about it. It's always fun racing him. I mean, been racing him years upon years at this point, and it's feel like I can always race him hard, and it's always fun battling somebody that talented here at the end of the race. Just really good time all around. And shout out to my sponsor, Harpoon Design, Brantley. He puts on great paint schemes all the time. He did a little mix it up here. We changed up the colors on the scheme. I like this version a lot. It just pops so much better, and got it in the victory lane. So maybe it's a little bit of a good luck charm. So we're going to hopefully keep it rolling. So check him out, harpoondesign.com. He's also got, I think last I checked, like 1,600 paint schemes on Trade and Paint. So you can go check out something he's already done on there. And then my other one, Shop Angry Duck. They're your one-stop shop for all your custom racewear and apparel, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, pretty much anything you can think of. Apparel-wise, they can order something for you. Custom, no order limits. You can order just one thing if you want to. So check them out, Shop Angry Duck. Then shout out to my family, always tuning in. My granddad, my dad, mom, all of them, they're always tuning in. Appreciate the text messages I get after a race, no matter what the result is. It's always good having them in your corner. And then shout out to my teammates, Jonathan Smith. He didn't have a great night. He had to start at the back because of a penalty, but he was able to work his way up. He got caught up in one of those wrecks, but he still managed to get, I think it was 14th or 13th, which is pretty good starting in the back of the pack. So shout out to him. He's had a lot worse luck than I have this season, so hopefully we can finally get him off the snide and maybe get him a win here soon. Now I guess shout out to y'all for putting on a broadcast. Nice being back on Freaky Fast. I've kind of missed it. Y'all have easily the best quality broadcast on iRacing that I've ever been a part of, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
We're happy when you guys put on a show like you did here tonight. That is going to be your winner here tonight, Mark Whitley in the 77. Congratulations again on your win, and good luck next week at the Glen.
Appreciate it. Show me the money.
As 77, the winner, he'll get that $30 here tonight, winning the bounty. Congratulations on that as well, Mark. As we take a look at the results here tonight, what a run it was, having the 77 of Mark Whitley find himself into victory lane. But overall, a crazy run for all the other drivers because our front two were so close. Everyone else so spaced out, with second place being Cedric Hunter, GTR Azari third. And from third on down, it is just everyone piled on, with Brandon Kiley, Trenton Jump, Tom Bourne, and that John Forbes being your top 7. Danny Cochran climbs back into 8th place. Logan Brakey and Anthony Gaudio going to finish out your top 10. But Zach, we look at the rest of the field. Drivers that were caught up in the big one at that midpoint of this race really struggled to rebound at all. A lot of other drivers able to really take advantage of those misfortunes.
That they did. I mean, look at Tyler Dingler there in 11th. You know, Robert Hatton back in 13th there. Jonathan Smith gets a good run, 14th. Dakota Moniz gets up to 15th there for him to help him put out points wise. So that was very good for a few guys that benefited from that, but definitely some guys that did not benefit from none of that. I mean, you know, I look at Christopher Norris there, his late mistake getting on the pit road, that was huge for him because he's got that win in Atlanta that will, you know, not lock him in if he's top 20. So he can't be making mistakes like that in that 38 machine. So got to clean that up. And also some other drivers back in there that had some tough breaks. Kyle Rochelle, look there, was running really, really good there in the beginning of this race. Just could not get, unfortunately, had that contact there with the 3-wide incident and took himself out.
Takes himself out. Now the stage is starting to get set closer and closer to the end of this season. And speaking of the end of the season, I mean, we got a lot of great races coming up here this week on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We find ourselves heading into tomorrow. We've got the Full Send Racing Series going to be showing up as they're going to be heading to Bristol Motor Speedway. Wednesday's going to be the Wicked Racing League as they head to Charlotte, that of Chicagoland. Then Thursday night, it's going to be seeing that of the Stars and Stripes racing at that of Phoenix. Then we get Friday off. Back to coverage that of Saturday with WSSR. They're off from their week off break, but they did not get a simple and easy track to come back to. They're going to Southern National, and then we get Sunday off, and we're right back here. Monday night coverage of the Freaky Fast Broadcasting, giving you the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. And Zach, the Glen, another track that has quite a bit of history. Last season, Trenton Jump did not have the easiest run. But he's hoping he can have a better surge this go around.
Yeah, I mean, a great drive to a victory, but one that he definitely doesn't want to have to deal with this next time coming around for sure. So, Trenton Jump, I think he has got to be, if not the favorite heading into to next week's race. But I think, again, we look back to Sonoma, Isaac Shelley, he won that race. He was super fast. Danny Cochran was fast in that race. And, I look at Mark Whitley, he's fast at road courses. There's going to be a lot of guys that are good there, and especially Watkins Glen. It's more of a different road course, in my opinion, more high speed, less technical, and a little bit more, it falls into the suits of drivers that race ovals, in my opinion. So I think we could see some surprises, but I definitely think you got to circle that 46 because last season he was just so dominant there.
And Zach, what's crazy to think that 46 machine on the list of drivers that still have not won, but Mark Whitley, take him off that the list of non-winners this season. We are now up to 9 that have won so far this season. Cedric Hunter, the only multi-time winner so far. And some would say that he kind of lucked into both of them. Can he find himself his third win possible? We'll have to find out. But Zach, final thoughts of tonight before we head off into next week and into other broadcasts throughout this week.
Well, man, we definitely got some good ones coming up throughout the week. We also got, next week coming up here at Watkins Glen. So I'm excited for the future here at Freaky Fast, first of all, but not only this truck series too, man. Definitely some drivers out there that are not the happiest after leaving here tonight. And we only got 3 races left in the regular season. It's all going to come to a boiling point, and you definitely don't want that to boil over when you get to the playoffs. So hopefully they can get all of their little bit of incidents out of the way. But we'll see, because we're going to be bringing it live here on Freaky Fast.
We're so happy to bring you all the great coverage throughout the week. But for tonight, thank you for joining us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer in the background, giving you all the pictures and graphics. And we cannot be thankful enough to also everyone else that helps us throughout the week here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining us Monday night. Once again, a spectacular finish, and it was that driver on screen, the 77 of Mark Whitley, that finds himself into victory lane. Hopefully we're going to have a great run for you next week at the Glen, but if we don't, we hope to see you tomorrow night. The Full Send Racing Series, they go short track racing. We hope to see you then. Have a good one, everybody.